Yeah. Okay, so Winfrey Designs has an unadjusted credit balance in its allowance for doubtful accounts. So we haven't made our adjustment yet. The balance is credit balance of $1,800. That's what our current allowance for doubtful accounts is. So preparing the adjusting entry, assuming that Winfrey estimates uncollectible accounts based on an aging analysis as follows. So it gives us our account. So during the 2018, so let's prepare adjusting entries assuming that Winfrey estimates that uncollectible accounts based on the aging as follows. So it would like us to do our adjusting entry. So first thing, what is our first step that we have to do? We need to estimate our bad debt expense. So in the aging accounts, it has told us that we have $120,000 in receivables that are not yet due. It's under 30 days. There's $35,000 in receivables that are due 1 to 30 days past due. 8,000 that are 31 to 60 days past due, and 2,000 that are over 60 days past due. They've told us what they expect will be uncollectible for each of these different ages. So what we need to do is set up this chart here. So the first one we'll do not due, 1 to 30 days, past due, 31 to 60 days, past due, and 60 days plus past due. 61 days plus. We have a balance of 120,000, 35,000, 8,000, and 2,000, right? This is all just copying out the chart. That's all we're doing here. And we are putting our percentage of uncollectible, 0.75%. So all we've done is just copy out the chart. Now if 0.75% of 120,000 is uncollectible, how much is that? How much are we estimating is uncollectible? $900. What is 4% of 35,000? 1,400. $800. 1,200. So for each section, we have a different amount that is uncollectible. So our total estimated uncollectible accounts receivable $4,300. So this is all of our account receivables. This is the entire amount of account receivables, but it's just listed in our age report. If you have any accounting software, it will automatically show you an age report when you pull up your accounts receivables. So we want to prepare the adjusting entry, assuming that Winfrey estimates uncollectible accounts based on the aging analysis here. So we need to prepare this bad debt. So is this going to be our bad debt expense? Actually, that might be a little bit of a... That question might be a little too hard right now. So don't worry, I'll show you. So what did we say our unadjusted, our allowance for doubtful accounts was? What is the balance of our allowance for doubtful accounts? 1,800 credit or debit? And what is the normal balance of a contra asset? It's credit. So what we're doing here is we're setting our balance at 4,300. So what do we need to do to make our balance that is 1,800 credit become 4,300 credit? We need to credit it $2,500. So now you're saying, well, Evan, why are we not just expensing $4,300, right? Why are we expensing $2,500? Can anyone tell me why?
Where did you get the 1,800 from?
The very first line of the example. Or first sentence. So the reason why that we are only going to be adjusting it to 4,300 and not adjusting it for 4,300 is that in a previous period, we still have an $1,800 balance. Meaning we didn't write off as many accounts as we thought we would. So if we didn't write off as many accounts as we thought we would, we collected more receivables than we estimated. So in that case, we overestimated our accounts receivable. In the perfect world, we would have no one not paying their bills. But in the perfect world of accounting, we would always have a $0 balance because we would have perfect estimates. We obviously don't live in that world. So we adjust to the new balance and we expense a little less to get to that balance. We expense less because in a previous period we expensed too much. So this is kind of our adjustment from year to year. So on December 31st, we will debit our bad debt expense. We'll credit our allowance for doubtful accounts. So, Part B, during 2018, so that was for 2017, credit sales were 1.2 million. Sales discounts were $22,000. Accounts receivable collected were $995,000. And accounts written off during the year totaled $24,000. Prepare the adjusting entry required on December 31st, 2018 to estimate uncollectible receivables, assuming it is based on the following aging analysis. So we need to estimate 2018's bad debt allowance. So the first step is really, really easy. It's just copying it out so we can go left to right it. It's pretty much how it goes. So we'll just excuse me. And what do we get for each one? What's 4% of 75,000?
3,000.
10% of 20,000. What is our total?
13,400.
13,400. So just by doing this chart, you just got half of your marks for one of these questions, or close to half, maybe 4 to 10. So pretty simple chart. Does anyone have any questions about why we did what we did here? No? Everyone understands this part? Okay, so $13,400 is our total estimated uncollectible event accounts receivable. Is this how much we're going to expense? What does this number become? I need everyone to know what this number becomes. Should someone tell me? That becomes our total credit balance of our allowance for doubtful accounts. So our total credit balance for allowance for doubtful accounts. Is this the amount of money that we're going to, or is this the amount that we're going to expense? No. Why is it not the amount we're going to expense? Well, let's think about it. It's going to become our new balance. And the reason why we're not going to expense this amount is because we already have a different balance, right? The only chance that this would be the amount we expense is if it's our first year and our balance is 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to determine how much we do need to expense. So we have our allowance for doubtful accounts. What was the balance that we set the year before? 4,300. What is the new balance that we want to set? Now, before we get ahead of ourselves, this is on December 31st, 2017. This will be our balance on December 31st, 2018. When do we use this account? There's only 2 times we'll ever use this account. One is when we're adjusting our bad debt expense at the end of the year. So we will have an adjustment we'll make here. So there's one transaction we'll use to adjust it. When is the second time we use allowance for doubtful accounts? So on page 535. Of your textbook. The answer is there. So when we adjust our bad debt expense and when we actually write off a specific customer's account. Okay, so we get notice that a customer's gone bankrupt, they're not paying their bill. Or after like 2 years of calling them and trying to harass them, we just realize they're not going to pay us. So we had to write off their account. How much? So if we read this section, during 2018, credit sales were 1.2 million. Sales discounts taken were 22,000. Accounts receivable collected were 995,000, and accounts written off during the year totaled 24,000. So when we write off accounts, the journal entry looks like this. No cash changes hands because we don't receive any cash, right? Let's see what would be. So that would be our journal entry. So our accounts receivable for those specific customers will go down to 0 because we don't expect to receive anything. And we offset it with allowance for doubtful accounts. So our allowance account is basically, we've already expensed it. We don't have to worry about expensing it. It won't affect our income statement because we've already done our expense in the period that we've made the sale. We'll just go against the contra asset account. So we go back up to our little T-chart here. We debited $24,000 to that account throughout the year. Now this would have came in various transactions as we written off certain accounts. So it might have been one customer for $24,000. It might have been 10 customers for various amounts. But for this case, we'll just put $24,000. But every time we write off a specific customer, we would use this account. So what is our balance before we go into the year end? $19,700 debit balance, right? So did we estimate the right amount of bad debt write-off last year? No. How did we undershot it? We underestimated it by about 20 grand. So now in this year, what do we need to do? We need to make up for that underestimate. So how much? What will our bad debt expense? How much are we going to credit our bad debt allowance? How do we get 19,700 debit balance to become a 13,400 credit balance? Sorry?
Would you credit 33,100?
Yeah, you would. Yeah. Say that. You can say it again.
33,100.
33. Yeah. So we would credit 33,100. So just a reminder, when we think about debits and credits, sometimes to visualize it, debit, credit, sometimes to visualize it, if we need to get to a 13,400 credit balance, and we're over here at a 19,700 debit balance, we need to credit the 19,700 to get to zero, and then 13,400 to get to that balance. So we wouldn't less 19,700 from 13,400 because that would only bring us to somewhere over here. So if it's easier, accountants don't normally think of it on a scale, but if you need to think of it like in a scale to help you, definitely do that. But in this case, we're going to credit it 33,100. So our adjusting entry at the end of the year, and this is for 2018. This one is for 2017. So again, it's a much higher amount because we underestimated the year before. So we have to expense more for what we actually did. Part C is show how accounts receivable would appear on the December 31st, 2018 balance sheet. Win-free design. Starts with our assets, our current assets, then we would have our accounts. Receivable. So what is our total amount of accounts receivable? Where can we find our total accounts receivable? Yeah, we can just add up the chart. So here it's telling us all of our account receivables in different time. So we can just add that up. So, someone want to add up these four numbers? Please. 346,000? I think. Yes?